football. I mean, I was at the game. I was watching Merciless and Clowney get after Jay Cuddy, whooping that ass. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it was a good week in that regard. However, when I did my draft, I knew that this was going to be somewhat of a rocky first three games. You know, when Le'Veon Bell comes back to give me that net 15 plus points, I mean, things will start looking a little different. I mean, it was a little lower than I anticipated. Started Dak Prescott, but we'll get into all of this here in a second. But let's start off with how the last week went. And for you newcomers, I got my fantasy stud, my fantasy dud. And we don't have a most improved right now. I mean, we could give it to somebody. I mean, if we give it to anybody, it would have to be Don't Touch Me there, since the nigga was dead in their last place last year. Came out, wrecking, got a win. He's my most improved. We'll move on with that. But got a fantasy stud and a fantasy dud. And before we get to that, we're gonna look at the last week and see how that went for week one. Now, my predictions, I think I did fairly good. I mean, I had Don't Touch Me there beating me. So, I mean, obviously, he outmatched me, outscored me by a whopping 60 points. So, his team performed well. D'Angelo Williams, obviously, in lieu of Bell, just to show that they can still run it without Le'Veon. They're gonna put up points. Will Fuller, my boy, did work. Got him some major points. He just had a really all-around good day. I'll let you know if so. I want to know in the picks there. We got a major bump in the road with Classy Strippers and Bolt Up Bitches. I could have sworn Classy Strippers was going to win this game. I was wrong. I didn't know that Todd Gurley would put up 5 points. Did Gary Barnidge even play? I don't know. Zero goose eggs kind of hurt your team regardless of where they're from. You got a goose egg there. That's a problem as a manager. So I'm 1-1 in my picks. Lazy Pugs, flawless victory. I picked flawless victory. This was fairly easy. I knew that Andrew Luck was going to come around, sling the ball. Thank God they lost to Detroit. 1-0, top of the AFC South like the Texans should be, but I still knew that Andrew Luck was going to throw that ball every which way. Drew Brees countered that by doing the same thing. I knew this was going to happen, but where the difference came was, the little things, like your tight end, and your DP. That's where things got a little separated. There was about a 30-point differential, so there was some more things. C.J. Anderson blew up. DeMarco Murray blew up, And Flawless Victory is ready. He is ready to come and make a force in this. I knew that was going to go down. I'm 2-1 in those picks. Last half, we got Designated Drunk Drivers, and Storm is brewing. Now, the new guy, if you don't break triple digits, you're probably not going to win. Good thing you ditched Dez Bryant and AP. Maybe AP's age is showing up, but not being able to produce, despite who your quarterback is against the Tennessee Titans, you might have some trouble all year. Just saying. But good on Minnesota for getting that dub against Tennessee. I appreciate that. And we got the new guy, Schwartz. We had a poll. A lot of people thought this guy wasn't going to win about 3 some odd games or so, but that's the wrong guy. I'm sorry. This guy didn't have a poll and probably doesn't deserve one anyway. Sorry about that. Bad to the bone. Didn't mean to get you confused with the new guy. Eventually, you guys will separate each other. One as being very good, and one as probably being very poor. I'll let you guys decide on who that is. Designated Drunk Drivers in my division, unfortunately, came up with little opposition. I wonder who I play next week. Things that make you say, Well, moving on. Currently 3-1. Does DMs lead to your Girlies Bush and Chicago Chalupas? Chicago's Chalupas team is probably one of the better teams that came out of the draft. This was a no-brainer that AB, Aaron Rodgers, and just a slew. All of his players, with the exception of Jeremy Hill, kind of got single digits, but regardless, he had so much to back that up. I knew that Chalupas would win that one. So, 4-1. How did the last match go? Bull City, bad to the bone. I know I gave this to Bull City because Bull City has proven himself. Whereas Jeffrey White and Bad to the Bone, that was the poll that had about 3 some odd wins. Well, I wonder what Bull City said. He must have picked that motherfucker to go 11 to 12 wins because he got his butt busted, barely getting over triple digits to Jeffrey White, who got into the later half of the 100s with 168. Eli Manning putting in work. AJ Green just dominating that island over there in Revis. I mean, it was a beautiful day for all of Bad to the Bones players, even the guys that got 0, like the Chiefs D. Probably would be a good idea to start the Chiefs D this week. Bad to the Bone, you better step your defense game up. You got a tough one next week. So, out of all of these teams, I went 4-2. That's not a bad prediction, even going up against myself. But we have to think about it. I gave you who my most improved was. Don't touch me there, busting my tail. Let me give you my fantasy dud of the week. It has to be a storm is brewing. Now, you know what? Kansas ain't here anymore, Dorothy. You're in this fucking Pride League. Maybe you need to cut out some of those leagues that you're already in. But I know if you want to win this league, you got to put your A game forward, Mr. Auto Draft King. We replaced one auto draft guy with another one. Let's see if we can get you to come to class today, you truant man. But it's okay. It's okay. It's just 1 week. Who am I to judge? But I know who you play next week, and you better bring your A game, because I'm handicapped. Don't let a handicapped motherfucker beat you. Anyway, fantasy dud. Lance Schwartz, a storm is brewing. Step your game up. You're now in the big league, son. Now, my fantasy stud of the week has to be none other than Chicago Chalupas. The only team to crack the 200 barrier, setting the bar high, son, for everybody to chase with the high for the season, 206.1 points. You can't beat those numbers. So, kudos to my fantasy stud. Step your game up to my fantasy dud. Now, let's go on to the transactions that happened. There's some interesting things that went down. And I only like to mention the transactions only if there's some exorbitant amount of money being spent. And I think you guys might know who I'm talking about. Let me see if I can pull up the transactions page. See where that is. Free agent auction report. Now, Bad to the Bone added Tyrell Williams. Now, there was some people fighting for Tyrell Williams. There's no doubt about it. So let's go. DDD was like, I could put in $7. If I get that guy, so be it. I mean, he's replacing Keenan Allen. Yeah. The guy that had Keenan Allen, he was like, $11. I figured most people would pay $10. Unfortunately, well, he actually went $16. My apologies. Both the bitches went 16. He's like, 15 might be a number that people would strive for. But unfortunately, Bad to the Bone, Jeffrey White says, my friend, you want Keenan Allen's replacement, you need to step up and get to the 30 burger, son. $33 added. He said, fuck it. That's my guy. I'm going to go get him because I know Phillip Rivers going to sling this rock everywhere. So that was the major purchase after week 1. $33 of this man's free agent auction money gone. Just gone. Now, I don't know. I plan to make the playoffs. So I'm not going to be spending probably over $20 for any one player in the free agent. I mean, unless somebody left, I don't know, Le'Veon Bell on, and didn't draft him and then it was coming up on week 3, and everybody's like, all right, it's a race for Le'Veon Bell. That's the type of money I expect to be shelled out. But God, it's so important to have your free agent auction money toward week 10, and now we got bye weeks in week 11. It's only getting more hairy with that money. So I mean, you're not gonna get this money back. So enjoy. I hope Tyrell Williams pays off for you. My guess is he's not. So let's move on to my predictions for the week. Now, I'm 4-2, so I kind of take these things seriously. So I'm gonna start off with, I want everybody to know my game of the week is a game that should prove to be somewhat of a nail biter for both these 1-0 teams. That's Don't Touch Me There and Jeffrey White Bat to the Bone. Jeffrey White new to the league already. My game of the week. So we'll get to that. Now let's take a look at the most important game of the week. Happens to be 2 0-1 teams. A storm is brewing and the whole 10 yards. Now it's going to be a tight matchup. Like I said, I'm handicapped right now. And who did I pick to win this match? No way is a storm is brewing going to score less than 100 points 2 weeks in a row. There's no way he's going to do that. He's now down AP. He's now down Dez Bryant. But he's got some replacements in Kelvin Benjamin. He's got Jonathan Stewart banged up. But I still am going to give this victory to a storm is brewing. I don't expect to win my first game until next week, right before Le'Veon Bell gets back. I'm feeling it. I got some nice fillers, but both our bitches kind of put something out on the message board saying I was, my team's a hot mess. And without Le'Veon Bell, it does look to be a hot mess. Demaryius Thomas with that hip injury, he should play through the pain, especially if there's nothing wrong with the motherfucker. So, I don't know. Anybody want Demaryius Thomas, feel free to put up some offers. I'll be willing to drop him off on your squads. So let's give that to the storm is brewing. Next up, we got designated drunk drivers and classy strippers. Now this is an interesting matchup. Classy strippers did extremely poorly last week, and I need him to take out tied for first place in the East. Now he also needs to compete in the Central. He's the only team that lost in the Central Division, proving that maybe I was correct in what I assumed, that the Central Division may be the strongest. If you're going to try to make the playoffs in that league, you got to at least be second best, and second best might be better than a lot of the other divisions' best. So I have a feeling Classic Strippers wins this matchup just because he has to if he wants to stay competitive. Now, we'll go to flawless victory and does DMs lead to your girlie's bush. Gave this one a flawless victory. I just think that his combination, as long as his running backs stay moderately healthy, they're going to be successful. Now, on paper, DM's his roster is sickening. Got Julio Jones, AP, Cam Newton, and Dez Bryant. Jesus. But I still won with flawless victory. I don't know if those guys are going to bounce back. Dak Prescott, he's not going to be playing on my team much longer if I don't see something special like I did in the preseason. I know this isn't preseason, but Dak, he's got a poise about him that reminds me of Russell Wilson. We'll see if he can get the ball to Dez. We got Chicago Chalupas versus Bull City. Now, I picked Chalupas to win this one. He's my early favorite to win that Central Division. I mean, he's got a pretty solid team all the way around. Guys that are going to produce. Bull City lost his first matchup to the newcomer. It's not like he doesn't have a chance. I just feel that Chalupas is going to win this game. Lazy Pugs versus Belt Up Bitches. The loss of Keenan Allen shouldn't hurt too terribly bad. I don't know if Willie Snead is going to emerge as the number one target for Drew Brees. If he does, god dang. I mean, let's look at what if Cooks gets hurt. That's nasty. So I'm looking at it now, and I'm picking bolt up bitches. Even though he kind of dissed me in the message boards, I gotta play. I gotta pick these as I see them. And you know, if Gronk doesn't play, Pugs' team looks awful, just absolutely horrendous. Besides Drew Brees, right? So here goes bolt up bitches. Now, game of the week material. This is it. I mean, Don't Touch Me There is competing in a very serious Central Division and bad to the bone. One of the beasts in the East. I want Don't Touch Me There to win this game. Therefore, I will pick Don't Touch Me There to win this game. This is going to be brutal with, you know, I don't know if Don't Touch Me There plans to start Carson Wentz. That would be interesting against his Bears. That's almost like fantasy suicide because he's such a Bears fan. But, you know, you do what you got to do to make this money, to get this cheddar. But, you know, these 1-0 teams, this is where it will make or break. It's not make or break, but it definitely starts to separate. You know, you see the dust start to settle and you start looking around and the motherfuckers are laying on the ground. You feel good about the season. Trust me, I've been there. So nobody wants to be clawing, especially in the Central Division. Bad to the bone, new to the league. He doesn't want to start, you know, struggling for who's going to win the division. He's got he's got the current champion, and he's got me in that division. So he definitely wants this victory. Giving it to Don't Touch Me There, though. Just off GP. I got to root for DTMT there. Well, there you have it. Those are my picks. Like it or love it, son. And, you know, it is what it is. Week 1, I'll be back at the games. You know, the reason I kind of picked my opponents to win these because I'm not really too terribly concerned about the fantasy as long as the Texans are busting that ass, son. We got a team this week that beat us twice last year. Twice. And once in the playoffs, and the playoff victory had me almost in tears. So my voice will be lifted up to the heavens just so that Alex Smith can hear me personally as I call him a bum in the middle of the game. He will know me and my presence as Whitney Merciless crawls up his backside and puts up residence inside his rectum. Now, this is me at about a 6. You don't want me to go to a 10. So, hope everybody has a good week. Everybody except the beasts in the East. And obviously my opponent, Mr. Schwartz, and his storm is brewing. So, hope everybody enjoys this non-color game. And I'll see you guys next week.